All right, my next guest is the head of marketing of probably the most important organization of any of us that scuba dive. DAN, Divers Alert Network. They're the ones people call when there's a dive accident. They are the ones that are coming up with all the new ideas and all the safety protocols that we all follow and implement. They insure us. DAN is really at the fabric of everything we do. So you've seen their logos on tanks, on O2 kits, on first aid kits. Professional diving does not exist without them. Have a quick stop and chat with Steve that I think you're going to love. And of course, as always, right at the end, I'm going to have a controversial topic that I'm going to want your opinion on that has to do with something we talked about. Here we go. Steve, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me out. Appreciate it.
I know you're a little like wondering what's about to happen here.
A little bit, but that's okay.
It's all right.
At DAN, we can handle anything.
Steve, you do the marketing for DAN.
Yep.
How do you market, hey, you might die or get hurt, but here's a good thing to that. How do you put a positive spin on possible injuries?
As you know, the industry's Dive Safety Association, we're here to help all divers. You know, with diving, there's always going to be risk. It will always exist. It's really how the diver handles it, and in a large way, how they're prepared to handle it. So that's what we really tried to do as the Dive Safety Association. We empower people through information, through our research that we've done over the years, through our safety content that we put out on our website, blogs, throughout our social media, all those channels we use to educate people, and we try to make it where it's not scary that they're going to get injured or hurt, but we want to make them aware that there are risks, and these are the things that you can do to mitigate those risks. So it's a lot of information, it's diving smarter, and knowing what's going on with your equipment, with your training, and what's going around in your environment.
Now, as a marketer, just a little bit about you. Do you dive?
I am. I have my advanced certification.
Okay, so you do dive. So you understand it enough to know what you're talking about. Gotcha. Did they require that you be certified for the job, or is that like part of the...
So at DAN, it ranges the spectrum. We have people in our organization who are very hardcore technical divers. They dive every weekend. They dive all kinds of diving. We have casual divers, recreational divers. I put myself in that category. Okay. I love blue, warm water and beautiful fish.
Same.
That's what I love to dive in. And then we have people in our organization who don't dive, and it's not really a problem. But I do think if you're a diver, it helps understand those things that happen underwater, the processes, the safety protocols. So it is helpful to understand the sport for sure.
When you came in, how long have you been here?
I've been working with DAN since 2013.
Oh, so you've been here a while.
A little while now, yeah.
Right around 10 years.
Yep.
Oh, well, congratulations. As far as marketing, so you dive, if they're watching this show, they know what DAN is, they know who DAN is. When it comes to marketing, because you're having to kind of talk about accidents and scuba diving and travel and all that stuff, what really resonates with people? Where do they go, okay, yeah, I think that is a good idea?
I think for us, one of the big factors is trust. We've been doing this for a long time, since 1980, and we've developed a wealth of knowledge, the research that's gone into it, the protocols, 24/7 hotline, just the infrastructure we have in place to support dive safety. It's really like no other. I think the other thing that makes DAN really different from several of the other people out there in the insurance, dive insurance business, is that we do so much more to support the industry and for divers. We're really here for the divers. We do all the philanthropic things, that make diving safer, smarter, and I think there's a lot of people who really appreciate that, and they want something more from their company rather than just the company who's giving them an insurance policy. It really makes a difference to have the medics, to do the research, to give back to the community. I think that is something that really makes DAN different.
What is something that you feel like no matter what you do, it's the one thing you just can't seem to get across as good as you wish? Like, there's always that one thing, if you could tell everybody the one thing, What is that?
I think the thing that we are trying to do as an organization is we're trying to grow, obviously, but to grow with new divers. And I think, new divers are getting into the sport, and it's fun and exciting, and there's equipment, and that's really cool. And I think people need to understand that there is still inherent risk in the sport, and they need to be prepared, not only with the dive gear they choose and the cool clothing and that kind of thing, but have the protection in place that they need. Have dive accident insurance. Become a DAN member, because the common misconception is if there is, in the rare event there's an accident or injury, that typical health insurance will cover that, and in a lot of cases it will not. So people get stuck with large bills that are not covered. It can be very costly and devastating financially if you're left to pay those hyperbaric chamber charges. It could be $80,000 to $100,000. So I think that, it's very low cost to get into DAN to be a member. We offer regular and enhanced membership. So for just $40 a year, someone could be a member and add some insurance to get that peace of mind if something were to happen in the likely event that we're there for them. We've been there for divers for over 40 years. We will just continue doing that.
You just said something that resonated with me. I am a DAN member and I have DAN insurance. I had a couple of doctors take a class. They work for the hospital. They've been there long. They had the best medical plan ever, Cadillac plan or whatever you call it. And they're like, oh, we don't need that because it's all covered. And I was like, you might want to check. And they all came back to me and they were like, I can't believe that wasn't covered, because they were doctors at the hospital with the best plan that anybody can get, and it still didn't cover a trip to the hyperbaric chamber.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to be real quick. If you want to support this channel, go to sweetwaterscuba.com. Info's in the description. You can get the blue shirts, the red hat, the vinyl holographic tank stickers that everybody seems to love, and of course the autographed children's books that come directly from me. And back to the show.
Yeah, the hyperbaric chamber is the big one for a diver, and that's where very high costs could come in if there's treatment required due to DCS. And it's just a common misconception that people kind of take it for granted. I have my health insurance. I'm covered. Don't worry about it. I don't need it. I think that's an important message to get. It's such a low cost of entry.
You say $40, right?
$40 you can get in for an annual membership, and then you add the cost of insurance, which starts at $40 off also. So as much money as we all spend on the sport, on equipment and travel, it's really a no-brainer, right? Just in case, in the rare event something does happen.
I saw a mask strap that was $40.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd like to ask you beyond this is, you can be honest, maybe. It depends, where's the boss. But everybody I've interviewed with DAN seems to like working there. They seem to kind of enjoy their job. I don't know if it's like the office culture there or just, and it sounds like a puff piece question, but what do you like about working with DAN?
Yeah.
Like, what's your favorite thing about actually your day-to-day?
I think my favorite thing about working with DAN is just the diversity of the work that we get to do. We are a very small team. It's funny how we may be looked at outside of our company by the industry, where we seem to be everywhere. We're there for divers, and we kind of project this global, huge appearance, but we are really a small group of people who are just passionate about what we do and helping divers, helping the community. We are very hands-on because we are kind of a family, so to speak. We get to do a lot of different things. That's the fun part of what I get to do.
Well, hold on. You said DAN appears to be big, but you're kind of a small, tight-knit group. You guys love your job. That party you guys threw last night did not appear to be small.
The party last night was not small. We had over 1,500 of our members, dive professionals and businesses, join us. It was wonderful to see the support. People came out, spent the night and evening with us, heard the message from our CEO, Bill Ziefel, what we had to say, and some of the initiatives that we're working on to further dive safety. So it's really impressive to see how strong the interest is in our brand and what we're doing to help everyone here in the industry.
Everybody here now has a hangover thanks to that, so thank you. But seriously, thank you. Those are great parties. Just good, mingling. DAN did not disappoint once again. Last year was pretty good too. Were you at that one?
I was.
This one was better though. Better vibe.
That's something we tried to do, is to give a little bit of a New Orleans vibe and make it a little unique, because we're in such a unique town here for the DEMA show this year.
I don't know about you, this one's been my favorite so far.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you too?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Are you allowed to say that? Yeah. Steve, anything you want to add about DAN?
Just like to say that, we are just so thankful to have the support of our members. We really can't do what we do for so long without the unwavering support of divers who are passionate about the ocean, about safety, about knowledge, learning, continuing to push forward so we can reduce the rate of accidents and injuries. It's just wonderful to have those people behind you. It kind of motivates you to keep doing better and growing the business. So it's really good to see.
Real quick, another important question. Is DAN going to throw another big party next year? Do you know?
We'll see. There'll probably be a party. I don't know. It might be tough to top that one that happened last night. Yeah.
If you don't, I think it's forgivable.
Yeah.
But, well, Steve, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
man.
thanks so much. I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw something out here that nobody, not even Dan, had any idea I was going to say. What would happen if Dan created their own scuba diving agency? This is just late night fire pit talk here. I'm happy with my agency. I'm sure you probably are with yours. But if they're already doing all the safety and everyone is following what Dan says and they're doing the insurance, they're coming up with all the new research, they already issue them with the emergency first responder and O2 certification, first aid, CPR, all that. That's actually the class I take. Why not just go one step further and just be a certifying agency? Maybe we can get rid of all the agencies and they can all join forces and just become Dan. This is brand new. I only just had this idea as I'm recording this. This was a very different than what I was going to say. But could and should Dan create their own scuba certifying agency? I want to hear your thoughts. I don't know if I want to hear the agency's thoughts or not. They might hate me for that. And Dan, if you're listening, I want to hear your thoughts. Maybe this is something that's been talked about. Maybe it's a wild idea. Maybe it's stupid. I don't know. But what do you guys think? I love you. I want to hear from you, and I'll see you on the next episode. All right, one last thing, Dan. If you do decide to go with that, you heard it here first. I want my cut.